So this is problem 10, section 3-9. A stone is thrown straight up from the edge of a roof, 775 feet above the ground at a speed of 14 feet per second. Remembering that the acceleration due to gravity is negative 32 feet per second squared, how high is the stone 2 seconds later? At what time does the stone hit the ground? What is the velocity of the stone when it hits the ground? So there are three questions here, A, B and C. Okay, so the picture is as follows. You have a building or building 775 feet high. At the roof, you are standing and throwing a stone up, directly up. Okay, at a speed of 14 feet per second. Now, when you throw a stone up at this speed, it's not going to keep going up. Okay, it's not going to escape our Earth's gravity. It's going to go up and come down at some point. All right. So that's what we want to understand. Okay. So question is, how high is the stone 2 seconds later? All right. So they have given us acceleration due to gravity is negative 32 feet per second squared. Okay. They have told us the stone starts off at height 775. Okay. So that means initial height is 775. They have told us that we have thrown it at a speed of 14 feet per second. That is, initial velocity is positive 14 feet per second. Positive means it's going up. Negative would mean I'm throwing it down. You understand the difference? Throwing it up gives me positive velocity. Throwing it down gives me negative velocity. All right. But at present I have thrown it up, so that's a positive. Now, starting with acceleration, they have told us is negative 32 feet per second squared. Acceleration is the derivative of velocity. Okay, v prime of t. Derivative of velocity is acceleration. So, on the flip side, velocity is the antiderivative of acceleration. All right. So if acceleration is negative 32, you want to take antiderivative. Now the variable is t, mind you. Okay. So what do we have? Velocity is negative 32t plus constant. Remember, if you have no t power, that means power is 0. So t to the first power is what you get, divided by 1. Now, initial velocity, now that c tells me I have a general antiderivative. I need a general antiderivative because I'm given some information here. Initial velocity is 14. That is time. When time is 0, my velocity is 14. So plug in t equals 0. Answer is 14. 32 times 0 is 0. So that tells me C is 14. In other words, my velocity function is negative 32t plus 14, C being 14. Okay. Now continuing, velocity is the derivative of position. In other words, the position is antiderivative of velocity. Okay. Velocity is negative 32t plus 14. So position, which is the antiderivative, it will be negative 32 as it is, but power of t increases by 1 and divide by the new power, right? Power here is 1, so 1 plus 1 is 2 and divide by the new power. 14 has no power. It's a constant, so its antiderivative is 14t plus a new constant. Okay, these constants so as to make this a general antiderivative. This is called, by the way, constant of integration. Okay, regardless. Simplify, 2 goes in 32 16 times. S of t is negative 16t squared plus 14t plus d. Well, we know something. When time is 0, my height is 775, right? Height is 775. So when time is 0, position is 775. So plug that in. When t is 0, I get d is 775. Is this clear? So 775 goes here, t is 0, t is 0. All I'm left with is d. So that tells me S of t is negative 16t squared plus 14t plus 775. So A part is, so now we have the position function. How high is the stone 2 seconds later? When time is 2 seconds, plug in t equals 2. Okay? So negative 16 times 2 squared plus 14 times 2 plus 775. So I could calculate it or simply use web work to type it in. Okay? All right. I'm going to say negative 16 times, use parentheses anytime in doubt, plus 14 times 2 plus 775. Okay, submit. Hopefully it's correct. If it is correct, then so far what we have done is fine. Aha, it's correct. Okay, now B part. At what time does the stone hit the ground? Well, stone hits the ground when S of t is 0, right? When the position is 0, when the height is 0. That is, all of this equals 0. Let me change the sign throughout or multiply by negative 1 to get positive here. So change sign, change sign, change sign, change sign. Okay, so you got this. This is a quadratic equation. All right, quadratic equation 8t squared plus bt plus c equals 0. So I'm using the quadratic formula. Okay, so I'm using the quadratic formula. All right, so t equals minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac. Okay, keep track of signs. C has a negative, B has a negative. All right, the whole over 2 times A minus B plus minus square root B squared minus 4AC, the whole over 2A. Okay, so that's good. Minus of negative 14. So that's positive 14 plus minus square root negative 14 squared. Okay, that is 196. Minus 4AC. So there is a negative and a negative. So that's a positive. 4 times 16 times 775. Check my work. I have checked. That's 49600. All of that over 32. Continuing. 14 plus or minus square root 49796 over 32. Why did I choose the positive? What happens if I have negative here? Let's see. 14 minus square root 49796. Okay, what happens to that number is it's a negative. Time cannot be negative. That is why I only choose the positive. All right, so that time my stone hits the ground because S of t is 0. So how do I place this in web work, right? I will write first a fraction. Okay, always remember, fraction take care of the parenthesis. Denominator is easy, just fill it with 32. Numerator is also not too bad. Okay, that's my numerator, 14 plus square root 49796. Don't forget to close every parenthesis that you open. Okay, submit, check, it's correct. Good. The third part, what is the velocity of the stone when it hits the ground? Aha, so this is the time when the stone hits the ground. You want to know the velocity when the stone hits the ground. That is, you need to use this time in your velocity function. So velocity function is negative 32t plus 14. So the time when stone hits the ground is this number. You plug that in for t. Okay. So negative 32t plus 14. Negative 32 blah plus 14, right? Blah was the time when the stone hits the ground. Oh, but fortunately we could have input all of this here, but immediately you notice 32 and 32 cancel, right? This is a denominator. That's a numerator. So these two cancel. I now have a negative outside and only the numerator left over, plus 14. Why don't I distribute the sign? Negative 14 minus, that should be a minus. Good. It's better to check again, right? Negative 14 minus root all that plus 14. So 14 and negative 14 cancel. What is the answer? Negative square root 49796. So notice velocity is negative because you're hitting the ground. That is, you're falling down. So it's a negative. Okay. So I hope this is correct. Negative square root 49796. Okay, it is correct. Until next problem then.